Welcome to this section of our AutoCAD lesson, and this will be the third section of our step-by-step AutoCAD lesson series. So, without wasting much time, we'll continue from where we stopped. And I think the last class we stopped at creating our limits and units, and we also learned during the last class how to set your AutoCAD screen, the interface in particular. So today we'll move on to learning the use of each of the tools, each of them step by step. But as I said during the previous class, not all the tools are being used for your be it the 2D or 3D drawing. Though some of them might have their usefulness that we might not know, but at least we use most of them, and we'll be learning the use of each of the tools one by one today now. So now let's start with our draw tool. The first one here, we are having our line, which has the short form command of L, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, L enter, which is this, our line L enter. So now what the next one, now we are having the construction line. I'm not saying the usefulness of the line now, because I want us to look at the three lines together. These three lines, they are all lines. The first one is line, ordinary line. The other one is construction line, and the last one is the poly line. First of all, let's take the line and the poly line. Let's leave the construction line first. We'll come back to that. I want to tell us the differences between the three lines. So now the first one, which is the line tool. Once we select it, we click on it, or we type L, enter. Let's click on it, and then we use our mouse to give it the direction. Now take note of something. As soon as I click on the command line, it's asking me to specify my first point. If you can see it on the screen, it's asking me to specify my first point. I said earlier that any command you choose, the AutoCAD will be giving you something like a guide. Yeah, guide or instruction. So it's asking me to specify my first point. So I'll just click on anywhere on the screen to specify my first point, and then I'll use my mouse. I'll drag my mouse to give it the direction. So I've clicked on that part. Now let me use the line to draw something like a square. Let's draw a square. I want to show us the differences between the line and the polyline. Now I drew this box using the line tool. Now let's draw the same box using the polyline tool now to see the differences. Now if you can see, this box here is drawn using the ordinary line tool, and this here is drawn using the polyline tool. Now the difference between the two is, if I select any section of this square, be it the horizontal or vertical line here, is selecting each of them as a single unit. Can you see that? As a single unit. As a single unit, is selecting each line of the box as a single unit. That's the use of the ordinary line. And now the reason why it is different from the polyline now is, for the polyline, if I should select any part of the square or rectangle, is selecting the whole rectangle. So they are all still a single line. Unlike this one, in which any part I'm selecting is selecting it as a single unit. But this, no matter where I select, is selecting the whole rectangle or the square as a whole unit. This time around, not each of the line. Not each of the line this time around now. It will be selecting the whole rectangle as a single unit. That's the differences between the ordinary line and the polyline. Now for the construction line, the reason why that is totally different is that I've clicked on it and it's asking me to specify a point. I specify my point. Can you see it? It does not have a beginning or an ending. It does not have beginning or end. It's continuous. That's why it's called the construction line. It's continuous. No matter how you zoom in, it does not have beginning, does not have end. So that's the differences between the three lines. The line, the polyline and the construction line. That's just the differences. Now once we come to the third one, we are having the polygon. Based on our previous knowledge of TD, for those of us that did TD in our secondary school or those that are yet to do it, the use of polygon is creating two-dimensional shapes of various sizes, be it a triangle or a quadrilateral shape. Any amount of number of polygon you need to create is there. You'll be able to create it. So it is used to create two-dimensional shapes of various sizes, starting from a triangle, a square or a rectangle, a pentagon, an octagon, hexagon, and so on. It is used to draw it. So let's click on it and see how it works. I've clicked on it. Now it's asking me now, it's guiding me now and asking me to enter the number of sides. Let's assume, okay, let's put in 5, enter. Now it's asking me to specify center of polygon. That one I can just click on anywhere on my sheet, on my worksheet. That's the center. It's not asking me if I want it to be inscribed in a circle or circumscribed about a circle. So you can choose anyone depending on the one you want it to be. So now let's leave it inscribed in circle, and then it will draw it for us. You can just increase it by dragging your mouse to your suitable enlargement size, how you want it. This is a pentagon, a 5-sided polygon. So that's the work of the polygon. No matter the size you want it to be, it will work for it. And now we are having the rectangular tool, which is used for drawing rectangle or square, depending on the case. So once you specify your first point, you just drag your mouse to draw your rectangle or your square, and you can also input measurements. You see, as it's telling us specify other corner point, or it's now asking us this white box now that is highlighted is asking us to put in the measurement. Let's assume we want to put in, since we're using millimeters, right? Let's use 10 millimeters, comma, another 10 millimeters, enter. You see, this is our square, but it is very small because of the 10 millimeters we are using. So you can draw it without the measurement, and you can use it with measurement also. And then this is an arc, which is used for drawing of a semicircle. You will specify your first point, your second point, and then you drag, be it up or down, to draw your semicircle and so on. And if you should come here under the arc here, the one we are having under this home tab here, the arc still has some other method you can use to draw your arc, other methods. So you can just try them out and see which one suits you best. But the basic way to draw arc is just clicking on it and using your mouse to give it the direction. And this is used for drawing a circle. Specify a center point, and then you drag your mouse to make it big or small to enlarge it. So that's just how that works. And then this, which is revision cloud, we don't usually use that for AutoCAD, but it's just used to draw irregular line, irregular shape. That's just how it works. It's used to draw irregular shapes. And this one, spline, is used to draw multiple curved lines. Let's assume from here, more or less like as if you are drawing a semicircle or semi-line, something like that. Yeah. So it is used to draw curved lines and so on. And this is an ellipse, more or less like as if you are drawing a circle, but no, in different a different type of circle. Let me put it that way, an ellipse. So but just the same method as you are drawing your circle. I've specified my first point, and then I drag my mouse to give it the height or how I want it to be, how I want it to look like. That's just how that's just what that is for. And this ellipse arc is like as if I'm drawing a semi arc. Yeah, a semi arc. Now do you see how I did that? Now I specify axis endpoint, my first point, my second point. It will first draw the whole ellipse by itself. So now you will now specify where you want to cut for it to form the arc. Sorry, you specify. Let's try that again. Now this is my ellipse. I'll specify my point for it to cut, so I'll be able to form my arc, which is this. So this is an ellipse arc. So here now we are having insert block and make a block. That one will deal with that when we go deep into it, because it's just used to create a block. Maybe you create your door or window and you want to turn it to a block, in which instead of you creating another one, you already have a ready made blocks that you've created already. So you just go and copy it. And the other one, which is the insert block, maybe there is it, you have it somewhere, you just want to go and bring it and insert it into the current drawing you are doing. So that's what that is used for. And then the next one, which is the gradient and the hatch, that one also will make use of that when we are that's just maybe you want to, when you want to design the internal part of an object. Let's say for example, let me select the hatch. You see that the tabs here has changed, the tools here have changed, because I'm dealing with hash now. That's maybe you want to do your ties, or you just want to design a section. Now let's see, let's assume I want to design my roof. I'll take this for my roof, and let me use um a measurement of, let's say, 30. So by the time I bring it here, this is just the work of an arch. This is what the arch does, more or less like a design and everything like that. So now, but the gradients now, it works the same way, but in this time with colors. Gradient deals with colors, while the arch deal with patterns. This is a pattern of the arch, but for the other one is a gradient color, which deals with different colors. Maybe you want to color inside a block, or a drawing you made. That's just what the two are for. And this is region. That we usually use that maybe when you're doing 3D, though you can actually use that for 2D also. You can use that for 2D also. Yes, so let's continue. We can use that for 2D also. Now let's try and use it. I've selected the region. Now it will ask me to select the object I want to create a region. It's more like as if I'm creating a region within an enclosed object. Region will not work if the object you are using it for is not an enclosed object. Now this is an enclosed object, which is an ellipse, right? And I'll just click on the object and click on enter. It has created the region, but we are not seeing it now because our sheet here is in 2D wireframe, like as if you are just looking at a frame. Now if you want to see it, then we can click on this 2D wireframe and change it to realistic or shaded, or any other option here that will make you see the shaded region. Let's click on realistic to see. Now do you see that it has been shaded? It's now a region, not ordinarily shaded. If you are saying shaded, then maybe we are using the gradient color, but it's not. It has turned into a region, in which like more or less like a 3D object. So that's just the work of the region. And then the next one is table. Maybe you want to create a table, you want to do your windows and doors schedule, in which we definitely have to create a table for that. And this other one, which is the text, in which maybe when you are done with your plan and you want to describe them, or you want to name them, and you want to write some description or something, like you want to name them living room, toilet, bedroom, then you have to use the text tool.